All right.
Cold cuts. We
Guess
are.
what?
Oh, I just ruined your intro, Harris.
No, I was
Dude,
talking over you.
I saw you raise your hands like a big bird, and I was like,
Guess who's
Anyway, cold
back?
cuts. We're back. Guess who's back? House
Honorary
of Decline.
third member.
Honorary third. You're
I
gonna
am
have
the
to
third.
you may have to mud wrestle Vosh in some of the commenters' eyes.
That's fine.
Maybe
I'm not gonna
oiled
do
up?
that. I'm not-
Okay.
You know,
I thought you were
I'm
like, okay, I'm in.
I'm like the Green Ranger and or the White Ranger.
Yeah,
of Cold
yeah.
Cuts. You know, I show up
Exactly.
occasionally. I
You're
kick ass.
rogue.
You save us.
I'm like morally ambiguous.
Yeah, I like that.
Sometimes I'm on the dark side. Sometimes I'm on the light side. You
Dude,
know?
isn't that so
you're
funny
a-
that it's like a white Power Ranger, like white
Yes, the
power?
white
Yeah,
power.
it's pretty crazy.
That's so, dude. You guys should do a comic on that.
Whoa! Nobody's done a
Has
comic
nobody
about
done that? I feel like
Nobody
somebody's
has
done that. Rip to that guy, by the way.
Tommy.
He died.
Tommy
recently?
passed away. Yeah.
He died like a year ago, I think. But House, you were definitely one of our like highly requested guests, even though we've done a bunch of episodes with you. And anytime that I make mention of you on a stream or a podcast or anywhere else, it's always, well, first of all, I'm always saying nice things about you, but then also I just immediately, everyone's like, I love House of Decline. That dude's so funny. He's one of my favorite comic artists. And I'm like, guys, I'm sitting right here. Like, you don't, but yeah, it's like, I mean, I refer sometimes to the three of us as like the same graduating class of webcomics. It feels like, you know what I mean? We kind of all hit the scene around
I think
the
I was
time.
trudging because I don't think I'm as talented as you two. I was trudging through it a couple years before you guys came on the scene.
Well, you had
I
a
feel like
major
I'm
breakthrough.
slightly your senior.
But
You
not
had a
to
big
blow
breakthrough.
blow smoke up your ass or anything. But you're probably
Blow
a
it,
decent
baby.
inspiration on why I was like, oh, this webcomics thing. I hadn't thought about webcomics since I was
What?
in fucking high school.
No way, dude. Really?
No, well, just seeing you putting it out there and putting material
For
that
sure.
people liked, and like seeing your stuff get memed with all like, it's a touch
You know what?
inspiring.
I
It's
needed
true.
It's a
that. I
touch
needed that today.
inspiring.
I needed that
Yeah,
today.
It's true.
House.
I mean,
Thank you.
and I mean, it goes without saying that you inspired me as well. I mean, you were the one. You.
I don't think I
literally-
inspired you. I think I forced you.
You
it was a
literally
very
twisted my arm.
hand-breaking.
Yeah, you were literally like, you need to make a Twitter account and you need to.
Dude,
post
I
your
remember
comments
you
there.
were like, you hit me up because you were like, dude, I was on Reddit. I love Reddit. I was on Reddit. And
Yeah.
I saw your comic, and then you started sending me some. And I remember the one that I loved was like, you should redo it. I swear you posted it recently, but
Which
it was
one?
like the Pizza Hut squid.
Yeah, that was my first one.
And I was
That
like,
my very
post that,
first one.
post that. And you posted
Yeah.
it. And I remember you got like 1,000 likes, and you were like,
Yeah, I was literally like,
Dude.
bro. I was like, bro.
you
like
called me. It's like-
I called you when it even broke like 100 likes. I called you and I'm like, dude, this is insane. Like, before that, I would get like 40 likes on my art, and and if I saw 40 likes on Instagram, I would be like, bro, this is doing numbers, baby.
We
Like,
cooking.
let's get this viral. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
But like, Twitter is a whole different sphere, and it's
I
a
had
different.
10 years of that with my freaking music, trying to
Oh,
make it worth
yeah.
with my freaking, and it's not that good, which is why it didn't get attention. But,
Has it resurfaced? Like, do you have people asking you questions about your music now that you made a name for yourself?
no one cares. I like it, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
That's all right.
Have you
It's something I do
considered,
for myself.
Have you considered getting back into it now that you have a little more like internet clout?
And freedom, I guess?
I'm always writing. Actually, I think on soundcloud.com /House of Decline, you can hear my badly mixed songs. You can
That's
hear my
awesome.
very poorly mixed, my digital clipping songs.
Yeah, that's my main thing too. I have old music on SoundCloud and stuff too, but it's all really badly mixed.
It's so
'cause
good though, dude.
But I was
the
wearing
low
Skull
mixing,
Candy headphones like for all of my mixing.
it adds to it, bro.
I
Dude, that
guess.
thought you was rice by your
I know, you
OG
love
name
bringing
Toasty
them.
Patel. Dude, that song goes so hard.
I had a question. Just I did a little like ask me anything on Instagram yesterday because I've been shadow banned on Instagram, and so I
What?
can't.
Why?
I don't know. I
What?
literally
Is that a thing?
it's a thing, and it's not in my head. I thought it was in my head, but I checked my settings, and it showed we cannot show your account to new followers. So you can't. So I don't show up in searches, and they're not putting me in the explore page or recommended or anything like that. And that it's been like 10 days that I've been sitting in like Instagram jail, and it's over Nothing. It was triggered by me posting a comic about Jason Mraz, and now
Which wasn't even the punchline was a guy breaking a ukulele.
ukulele.
There was no like
there was
violence.
There was nothing violent. There was nothing grotesque. There was nothing. I mean, it's been a week and a half at this point. Like I'm kind of just like sitting here, and I'm like, I really hope this isn't permanent. But what else can I do? But I figured for the time being, I was like, let me at least engage with the audience that I have on here. I don't want to be losing people. And I just had a conversation with this guy who's also an artist who was talking about Dane Cook and the comedian Dane Cook, right?
The wonderful
The
grooming comedian,
greatest.
Dane Cook.
The greatest comedian of all
ever.
time. And
Yeah.
but it's funny because he's very widely hated. And I think this guy was telling me that people were dumbfounded when he was selling out shows like fairly early in his career, like when he was like an overnight success, it felt like, in the comedy world. And he was explaining to me that apparently the backstory behind that was that Dane Cook started posting clips to MySpace back when there was no social media. That was the social media.
Yeah.
And he started posting clips to MySpace. And then anytime that somebody followed him or left him a nice comment or anything or interacted with him on MySpace, he would send them like a really thoughtful, written out message and just be like, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for engaging. I'm just starting out, so this means a lot. When I'm in your city, it'd mean a lot if you came to my show and all this stuff. And then after doing that for like 4 years, he had sent out like 10,000 messages to people. And then he would show up at venues and they would be sold out because all of these people are fans for life. Like all of these people are like, this guy messaged me. I know him. You know what I mean? You get that parasocial thing. And so anyway, I was thinking I could probably be more like engaged with my audience. I don't really
you should
like
be more like Dane Cook.
more like Dane Cook. But the lesson is
some
that
really
Dane
cool
Cook,
teenagers. You know, you're meeting
Yeah.
all these really cool teenagers.
Exactly. Well,
all
the
the
lesson to be learned is that Dane Cook is supremely unfunny, but he made a huge name for himself because he was like,
Dude, you want to hear my hot
Personable.
take?
engagements.
I gotta
yeah.
interrupt.
go ahead, what is
I
it?
don't think he was that unfunny. I get that his shtick. I get that
Yeah.
his shtick was kind of got played out, but it's like, I think he inspired.
What was his shtick? What was his shtick? He's just
say
raunchy.
things with a lot of energy.
Funny. I'm gonna say a funny word or something.
Okay. I don't know if I could
I'm
tell
trying to
you.
think of an example.
The only
finger.
the
Remember
only
the super finger.
No, I don't remember
Superfinger.
Superfinger. I only remember
Forget
Kool-Aid
what it
Man.
is.
I remember his Kool-Aid Man
What
bit.
was
It was
his
the
finger?
only
Was it-
one.
Oh, it was the double
This.
middle finger
Okay,
was
I
the
can't
super
even
finger,
that,
which
yeah.
became his.
Kind of
I
funny.
remember my friend had a
Yeah.
shirt, and he was like, I was like, what does that mean? He's like, dude, it's like a Dane Cook thing. Like, it's like his thing. And I remember even as a kid, as I'm defending him, I was like, that's kind of gay.
Seems
You know what I
lame.
mean? In my head, I was like, that's
Yeah,
a little
that-
weird, but
But anyway, when the reason I brought it up is because I did this little. I was like, oh, let me do one of those little questionnaire things on Instagram, and I got a lot of replies. And one of them was asking me, they were like, "Are you ever going to revisit Toasty Patel? Like, what is there anything in the works?" And I was like, that was like a
What?
Nardwar ass question. Like, I was literally like, how the does this person know about
what
that
did
shit?
the Dave? Who were we just talking about?
Dane Cook?
What did the Dane Cook?
Okay,
thing
the
have to
Dane
do
Cook.
with that?
Okay,
What
the
was
reason that I
point
brought
of
up
that
Dane Cook is
sidetrack?
because it got me thinking. I was like, I could be more personable with my followers. Like they've already gone out of their way to follow me and
Like
engage
Pro
with
Jared.
me.
You're saying we should have a special server on
Like
the
a harem?
Discord where people can post nudes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, is that what it
That's
is?
that's
you
your
should be-
plan.
if you aren't putting on a Sailor Mercury costume, you know what
It's
are you
it's like,
doing?
It's just
I'm
that
trying
like
to get Harris in the black Spider-Man suit and take
I know I need
sexy
to. I
pics.
was gonna get one before this trip, but I just don't think I'm gonna have time anymore. But
you're here for a week. Guess who's got Amazon one day?
we could get it. We could
can
get
still
it.
get it, brother.
But anyway, I mean, it did get me thinking. It's like so many of these, not even just webcomic artists, especially webcomic artists, but content creators in general are like really riddled with social anxiety. And I don't really have social anxiety, so there's no really excuse for me to
Boo.
not. Sorry,
Boo.
guys. I'm like normally adjusted. I have like no problem talking to people.
Are you
And
also
so like
an empath?
What does that mean? I always see people say that,
You don't
but
know
I
what
don't know what that
empath
is.
means? It's like
I see people say that, but I don't know what it is.
The
it's
ability
mainly
to feel
joked.
the pain of others, right? The
Yes.
Oh,
ability.
okay. I mean,
Which is just
I
isn't that common
always,
sympathy or no? I guess empathy is the word.
well, I will say I
Sympathy
always
is you feel bad for someone.
Yeah.
Empathy is you feel bad with
with
someone.
someone. Yes, I do. I will say even to this day, I hate the part of like the rom-com movie where like you already know that two really close buddies are gonna have a falling out because of some stupid misunderstanding, and then for like 10 minutes they're like fighting and then they rekindle. I hate
Yeah.
feeling that moment coming because I'm like I hate conflict and I hate watching people fight.
Yeah.
So so maybe I am an empath. Yeah. But anyway, so I figured I might as well use it to my advantage because I can actually like I have no problem like, doing some crowd work basically. So that's what I was doing. That's why I brought up the date. Oh, I just saw a critter run behind you.
Yeah, there's a flea in my house.
Oh
Oh
my God.
no.
There's a very big flea.
A big flea. That's not good. They're
But
supposed to be
anyway,
very small.
enough about me. House, I wanted to tell you, dude,
What?
you have been on a fucking hot streak for the ages recently. Like I
Since
am
you started, bro, what are you talking about?
well, since you
It's been a hot
started,
streak
but
since day
it
one,
did
baby.
well, okay, maybe it's in my head, but maybe you'll back me up on this, House. There was a period of time where your posting to Twitter, maybe not on Patreon, but your posting to Twitter had slowed a bit. Like you just weren't
Yeah.
posting as frequently. But now you're posting, are you posting a new comic every day now? That's
Oh,
what it
that's because
feels
I'm
like.
posting old Patreon comics now.
Oh,
Dude, you had
okay.
one recently that, God, I wish I could remember.
Dude, I'm gonna pull up your account right now. You have
Yeah,
so
there
many
was
funny
one that
ones.
you had recently that I was just like, this is so good.
Yeah, there's been a few that I've been happy with. The chiropractor one got big.
That one's
That might have
hilarious.
been the one. That might have been the one.
People
Just 'cause
really
the
fucking
smug,
hate chiropractors. Yeah.
that smug little
Uh,
face at the end where he's saying I'm a
Yeah.
chiropractor is
That
And you
so,
can
one's
hear the
so good.
70s music. Ding ding
so
ding
good.
ding
It's
ding
so good.
ding
Oh,
ding
House.
ding.
Oh, I didn't see this, but thank you for retweeting my balls alien
I
comic.
love the
That's
balls
really
alien.
nice.
I love
That's it.
I love how
He's like sitting there
you
like
can
pissed.
extrapolate the story that's happened from before.
I was gonna
Yeah.
You
say
know,
you're
he's
good
just
at
gone to this planet. Yeah, he's been so looking forward to meeting a new alien species. The second he goes there, hey, you look like balls, man. What? And they show him a picture. It's like, yeah, these are our genitals. You know.
I will say it's funny that you commented that because I sound like a crazy person whenever I say this, but this was one of those comics that as I was drawing, I was laughing out loud, like to myself, especially drawing him like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Dude, I was gonna say
That
you're
is a
so
funny
good
expression.
at. I think this is. I'm using the wrong term, but in video games, it's like environmental storytelling. But I feel like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
so good at like you
thanks.
just looking at that. Someone even made the comment, but looking at that picture you just said that you like, it's like you can tell someone had recently called him balls maybe like 30 seconds ago or
Yeah,
something.
that he
Yeah.
was like
It's just
really upset
it's
about
so
it.
good, dude.
Wait,
Oh my
all right,
God.
House. I'm pulling up some of your tweets. Enough about me. Yeah, the
My
chiropractor
goddamn.
one is great. This furry one was so funny.
People like the furry. The furries like the furry
Dude,
one. I
I've
was
been
very
liking,
happy. I don't want to offend them because I love the furries. They've been
Yeah,
supporters
furries are
of the
great.
House of Decline comic project because if you make online comedy sex cartoons, you're just going to get furries, you know.
Yes, it's
Very
true.
high tolerance for the comedy sex cartoon.
then
This one was so good too that you can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country
Yeah,
out of
the
the boy.
country
He's like,
sucker. I
that's
like
where you're
the
wrong,
country.
and it's country sucker, and then
Yeah.
just remove the country out of the boy.
Yeah,
That
he
was
takes the
inspired
so
flat
by
good.
off his
the-
shirt.
George Alexopoulos comic where Biden sucks the melanin out of a woman.
No,
Is there any
I talked
inspiration?
about that recently on my own podcast
That
because I
comic?
think well, that comic is interesting because I see left-wing people that didn't know what he was about sharing it.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Like
was
because it was like, yeah, it was a sort of like awful thing for Biden to,
for
question a
sure.
person's blackness by saying, and of course a right-wing person could, seize on this to make a comic that is, it's a very condescending thing to say. So if you don't know what G Prime is all about, you think maybe he's a
Maybe he's
leftist
with the
guy.
shits. Yeah,
Maybe he's knows he's
It's,
criticizing Biden like the Chapos or something.
it's a perfect example of a broken clock being right twice a day. Like every once in a while, and I mean, maybe that's like even twice a day is pushing it. He's like that's like a broken clock that's right once every 5 years, maybe. Like that's like his only good comic,
Dude,
but it was also a very his biggest viral hit, I think.
he
Too.
obliterated someone on Twitter today. Okay, they were telling him like he's not a good comic artist, he's not funny, and he said, I'm one of the highest upvoted comics on Reddit. And it was like, yeah, dude, that's
Dude.
yeah. Dude, he triggered that lefty so hard when he responded with that. That was such a good response, dude.
I can't
take a second
imagine
just to appreciate that he's one of the top comics on Reddit.
top comics on Reddit. Dude,
That's amazing. That's so good.
Very big accomplishment.
I mean, I know you guys feel this way because it's true about all three of us that it's like a hater in your comments in any of our comments is always the dumbest guy on earth. You know what I mean? So it's really easy to dunk on them, or it's really easy to ignore because you don't have to think about it. It must be really wacky that George is living in this twilight zone where all of the haters in his comments are like 100% right, and it's like not easy to dismantle them because all of their criticisms are accurate. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the tide
rough.
you accept as the conservative media person. You're always just going to be wrong constantly, but you have a foaming at the mouth base who's like, yeah, you said the thing that we really want to believe because it means that we're better. You know,
right.
it means that we're superior without having to have done anything. You know, that's always
I'd like to make an amendendum.
An addendum. I think it's addendum.
I would like to make an addendum. I think we're talking about far right people because, like, dude, I moved to the country. A lot of these conservatives, they're pretty chill. They're pretty, you know. That's what you meant. I know. I was just.
I think
I'm talking about the gripers, the Pepes. These weird ultra online.
Please, people. God, anyone listening, do not associate gripers with regular conservative people.
It's true. They're totally different people.
They're like 15
years. I mean,
I don't agree with these people, like these type of people you're talking about, but you need to be able to live with these people in society. Yes. And you don't need to be able to live with Pepes and gripers because they actually make up a very small percentage of people you deal with day to day. And they mostly stay inside.
It's true.
Yes. But yeah, you're just going to run into conservative people and you might get mad at them. But you know, you don't reprimand them or maybe if they're saying something, who knows? You know, I can't make vast prescriptions, but
it's easy to get frustrated with like the type of conservatives that Zach is talking about that are more salt of the earth, so to speak. You know what I mean? But those are people that are just living within their means. You got to imagine that a lot of like conservative people have never met a trans person or, you know, don't really or it's not of concern to them.
This is so true. And I know if you're a trans person, you're like, I don't give a shit. Like if they're giving you shit, but it's like my mom's concept of a trans woman is literally that person that was in the GameStop.
The George Alexopoulos caricature style.
Literally, or like person. That. Or like, and like, it's easy to be scared of things you don't understand.
It's very easy.
Have you seen The Enemy, House?
The Enemy?
No, Enemy.
No. Enemy. The movie Enemy with James. I love that. It's about Toronto. It's about how Toronto.
It is about
Toronto. When we all watch that scene where the large spoiler alert, when the large spider crosses Toronto,
big spider in Toronto.
That's
that's Drake.
That's like
that's
trans. Drake. That's Drake. But to me, it's like
Drake.
that's
Drake.
Jake Gyllenhaal was a conservative, salt of the earth guy. That spider was a trans, okay? Because he's like, what is that? I don't know. But the spider's not causing harm. It's they're not familiar with it. That was a very deep metaphor.
That was an incredibly deep metaphor. That's a great. Denis Villeneuve, all of his movies are trans allegories.
Harris, I feel like you said, I don't understand just to distance yourself from my potentially edgy joke.
No, I said, I don't know. I think I said, I don't understand as I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal. I was like doing the bit. I was Jake Gyllenhaal seeing the spider. Like I don't understand. Like, looking at that. I was trying to put my feet in his shoes.
I thought you were like, I don't know what you're saying.
When I said it out loud, I was like, he's gonna misinterpret this.
Further to your point about like normal or like regular Republicans not caring about like social, like these foaming at the mouth social issues, especially like the fervor over trans people. Did you ever read that? There was an article going around by this fella by the handle of Edingermentum on Twitter, and he does some pretty high quality political analysis, in my opinion. if you want to get into it. And he had this big article called The Electoral History of Transphobia, which is basically lays out a pretty solid objective case for why transphobia as an issue to rally around for right-wing people is actually a massive fucking loser. Like, because like you said, most people, they don't know it doesn't affect them, and they're like normal enough to know, oh, this doesn't affect me, why should I care about it in any. I care more about, if I'm a regular conservative person, I care about like lower taxes. That's the thing that I care about more than any of these social issues, because lower taxes is at least like a material concept I can wrap my head around. And the other thing about it is when you go hard against trans people, especially in your state legislature, and that's what happened
I've
in
gone
North
hard
Carolina.
against a trans person.
Woo!
Bazinga, baby. These are the jokes. These are the jokes.
Yeah, but yeah, in North Carolina, they did the fucking bathroom bill, and all these fucking companies, all these corporations that didn't want the fucking stink of this like really horrible fucking bill on them left it's bathrooms. They left the state.
One episode, thank you.
And that affected the bottom line of many, of these right-wing people who couldn't give a shit and now saw less money in their pockets because all these corporations were pulling out because of this a bigoted bill that's only supported by the most wicked 15% of your cadre.
Even Trump just said, and like, I mean, what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he just had some rally where he was like, in my first term, I was talking about lower taxes and everybody would cheer, and now I talk about woke and everybody cheers. You know what I mean? It's like,
you didn't know what woke was up until 3 days ago. You didn't know what it was.
It's just become
now
more,
it's all you talk about.
It's more niche. It's more browbeaten, and I think it's smaller. I think that I don't know.
This ties in current event. This is so great. This ties in. Matt Walsh was crying on Twitter. I can't believe, because the Republican debates were recently. What was it, like 3 days ago?
Right, yeah. It was Vivek and DeSantis not knowing how to use his tongue.
Is it Vivek?
I don't know.
Yeah, DeSantis is like in pain when he's smiling.
Oh, dude, I really am I'm concerned about DeSantis. He doesn't seem well. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Matt Walsh was like, are you telling me they didn't bring up a trans question during the entire debate? It's the most important topic of the country. Everyone's talking about it. And it's like, you are on Twitter. You have Twitter brain.
You have Twitter brain. No one is talking about it. No one is talking about it. And honest to God, I know this doesn't apply to you, Zach, but in general,
carefully.
I was talking about this to my dad, because he was expressing the same thing, that he was just talking about, like, what is this obsession with like people being anti-trans and all this stuff. And I don't think my dad has ever met like a trans person before, but he's like, why are people so foam at the mouth over this issue? And I'm like, that's a great question. And we were talking, and I'm like, when is the last time that you've seen a trans person like that you could tell was clockable? Not that my dad knows what that means, but like that you could tell you were looking at somebody who was transgender. And he was like, I don't know if I ever have. You know what I mean? Like maybe one time 5 years ago at this grocery store, I saw somebody, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's the reality. So like the fact that anybody is trying to posture, oh my God.
He was biting my ankle.
The fact that anybody is trying to act like this is really the biggest issue that's affecting our country, and the fact that people buy into it, that they don't see it as just a massive grift, is insane to me. Your cat looks horrified right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a theory.
What's your theory?
Well, I've talked about it on my show, and it's just like, transphobia is the vogue for this neo-fascist right-wing movement that's going on all over the planet since a couple of years ago. But why is England particularly transphobic? However transphobic America is, England is like, wow, they're really committing to it on like a national level. And my crackpot, stupid, uninformed theory is that it's something that I like to call the dance of repression. It's, you want to talk about subjects that your society or culture around you has deemed taboo, right? You want to talk about sex, you want to talk about, gender, you want to talk about all this stuff. You want to talk about the weird feelings that you have inside, but you have decided to be ashamed of these feelings, never investigate them, because to investigate them would be, it would be anti-tradition. It would be, anti our values, So what you have to do is you need to find circuitous ways of talking about them, but in a way where you can also dismiss or hate it. So that's why, they love it in tabloid culture, because they see trans person in the tabloid culture and all these like weird libidinal things start going off in their head, because this is great. Now I have this excuse to talk about genitals now because someone mentioned this, and
doing
and
a dead on J.K. Rowling.
Yeah,
that was J.K. Rowling.
I'm J.K. Rowling, and I like to shove shit in my pussy. I'm shoving turds in my pussy constantly. I'm J.K. Rowling.
I've heard her say that.
I like to put turds in the freezer and shove them in my pussy.
I heard that was a thing. I remember my cousin told me. It definitely is not. You poop in a condom. He said gay guys did it.
Yeah,
there's I don't know. It immediately
I'm sure somebody's done it.
It immediately pops into my head. This is such a tangent, but there's a Modest Mouse line from a song called Night in the Sun that he says, "Freeze your blood and then stab it into me." But the J.K. Rowling is freeze your shit and then shove it
in my puss.
Yeah, there you go.
Yo, you used a word earlier, and I definitely know what it means, but I'm sure there's people listening who don't. It was circada fluus?
Circuitous.
Circuitous.
Yeah, and again, I definitely know what this means.
Path. A really long path. It's really circuitous and bendy, and it goes into a lot of places. You need to come up with this series of weird logic in order to talk about, the things that are at the heart of your impulses that you have deemed to be, unsafe or bad to talk about. So you read the Daily Mail, you get the tabloids, and it says, bendy. You take a, You take a really silly path. You take a really, a really puzzly path, a labyrinthian path, a maze-like path.
This is not related, but I did want to bring this up because the three of us are all in a comic group chat on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this is what I was going to say. Sorry, this is a different tangent, but this is such old news now, but I literally typed when I had to find the message for the Zoom link that Zach messaged me. I had to just type into my search bar twitter.com and it had to change. It was like X. Like I typed Twitter and it was just like, you mean X, right? You mean X? And I was just like, this is so dumb. How long are we going to keep this fucking charade up? Like, it's just never. Or it makes me wonder.
Why does mine still say Twitter?
Well,
mine still says
Twitter. It says Twitter. It just has the X logo on it. But it makes me wonder, like, is there going to be a generation of kids that is like, Mommy, Daddy, why does Twitter have an X logo? And I'm like, well, some people call it X because they changed the name, but it was originally called Twitter. And and they're gonna be like, but why? And I'm gonna be like, I have no fucking idea.
What is this hell world where you're explaining Twitter to your 5-year-old son? What is
going hopefully on? It's done by then. Why is your son on Twitter? Why is your 5-year-old? What is he doing?
Guys,
why is he?
I have a confession. I have a 5-year-old kid.
Oh no.
Dude, I
get him off of Twitter.
Dude, it's that little dog. You've just been like gluing carpet fur to it and pretending
I'm like, I'm just completely full-blown schizophrenic, and I'm talking to my dog and imagining the questions she might ask me. But anyway, we're all in a group chat. We're all in a group chat on Zitter.com, and to recap, I only peek in there occasionally. Really, I think it was. There's a lot of conversation that happens in there, but I think the main hot button issue, which I'm curious what your opinion is on this, House, because I don't know if you've ever spoken publicly about it. I try to avoid it in general, but Hot Paper Comics, Martin, who's a great guy. I
like Martin.
Any discussion that we have about his opinion or the things that he posted is not a reflection of how I feel about the guy, because he's been super nice and supportive of me. Sure. But he takes a stance, which I think a lot of artists take, which is that he does not like AI art. And then he found, and to his dismay, that the community that he cut his teeth on, which was on Reddit, the subreddit r/comics, now has some big players on that subreddit, for whatever that means, who are AI comic artists. They don't draw any of their own work. I suppose they write it, but all of the art is generated by a computer. And he made a post on there that he drew that as a comic that was basically explaining that he was like, this is the community that I gained my first following in, and I want to protect it. And for that reason, I'm calling for the mods of our comics to ban all AI art and protect our community, basically.
Imagine not wanting Reddit to die.
And I'm saying this I actually love Martin. He's a really sweet guy. But dude, he got blown the fuck out by the mods on the mods on our comics responded to him, and they said, we're not going to do that.
Like messages, or are they in the comments?
It's in the comments, and I was actually watching it live because I saw him messaging about it, and then I went to Reddit to see like what people are replying to this, because AI is a hot button issue right now, and there are a lot of like scrolling through the subreddit. I would say like 1 in every like 10 comics was like AI drawn, which I was like, that's a little dystopian, I guess.
What do you want? Yeah.
And I was like, I'm curious what people say. And there were a lot of people agreeing with him, and there were a lot of people disagreeing with him. But the mods were like, their argument was, this is our comics, not our art. So basically, there are comic artists that they pointed to this person who all of their comics they use Polaroid photos for each of the frames. And they're like, this is still a comic artist, even though they didn't draw it. They used, a camera to produce these images. And then they pointed to, they weren't even trying to throw shade, but it's hilarious that they pointed to Dino Comics. They were like, Dino Comics, who's really popular around here, all of their drawings are the same 6 images that like repeated over and over again, but they have a huge following. It's like, we're not going to ban these people, so we're also not going to ban the AI art. And also they said something to the effect of, and also remember that bullying or discouraging other people from posting on here is a bannable offense. So basically tread lightly. And he was really upset about it, I think. I mean,
I would be too. I sort of agree with Martin on this issue. I mean, I just hate it because, you can cite Dinosaur Comics all you want, but that guy wrote so much fucking text, and it was so specific and unique to him. I don't think any of these AI artists are producing work on that level because,
comics?
They're not, they don't have that prosaic style that defined, the unique quality of that comic.
Because disagree, baby.
Maybe
I'm a Dino hater. I'm sorry.
The thing with Dino Comics, I mean, early in Cold Cuts podcast, we've kind of moved on to hating Blobby and Friends. That became more of a target.
We've evolved.
No, the Dinosaur Comics where it's the same drawings of the dinosaur
it's
over
the same
and over.
Dinos, and they're like
the point you were making was totally valid. I'm just a hater.
You're right, but also I think part of the reason that we hated Dino Comics really early on, even though I think we've moved on from that, is that like. It's first of all, it's not one person. It's like they have a team of writers and a team of artists apparently who have never met, and which I thought was really interesting. And at the time, like when I found that out, I was like, really? You guys need more than one person on this? And also, I felt a little bit like miffed because I was kind of like, I know there's a lot of popular comic artists that are like a team, like a duo of writers. And like, for example, we had Matt Bors and Ben Clarkson on.
I think we're thinking of a different one. The dinosaur comics I'm talking about were pixelated dinosaurs.
Oh, you're talking about with the Velociraptor and shit.
Yeah, the Velociraptor.
Those ones were fun.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the example I thought you were talking about.
I thought you were talking about Dino Comics, and I was like,
no, that's like Coco Melon for adults. That's
thank you. I was like, I thought you were being like,
no shit, like good on the Dinosaur Comics. They've carved out a thing for themselves, but they're very sort of they're very nice. It's a nice time.
It's nice
jingly bells for you.
Yes, it's but we were throwing shade at them a lot more in early episodes, and then when I posted a comic that was sort of dunking on them, kind of like way back when, which I actually kind of felt at the time gained me some clout among the other webcomic artists. Right around that time is when I think I got followed by like Toothy BJ and Flork of Cows, and I was like, okay, I must have said something right here because it's resonated with these comic artists that I actually like, that are like funny. But why did we get on this? Oh, we were okay, so that's who the Reddit mods were referring to when they were talking about Dino Comics, because those guys literally copy and paste. They have a folder of images of dinosaurs.
Where I think the difference is those guys had I think it was just one guy. He had a very specific authorial prosaic style. Like the gag was that it was low effort. The thing with these AI comics is that they fake being high effort, which is some sort of their skill cannot measure up to their ambition, which is why they have to take an ignominious shortcut to get there.
And again, I know what it means, but ignominious?
Shitty. They had to take a shitty little...
I thought it was some type of volcanic rock.
And if you're a logical person, like the logic minds of Reddit mods, I get this. But, you know, I'm 100% Martin. AI art is the soul killer. It is a fucking nightmare.
It is a soul killer.
Yeah.
I do
not respect anyone that uses it. And I get irrationally angry at people.
No,
I'm sure it's fine.
I think it's really lame. It is soul killing. I don't have a sort of like venom for it. Like I kind of just am like, I just think it's really cringe and lame when I see AI art because I really don't think it looks good. I think it looks computer generated to me still. As much as people are like, look how good this looks. I'm like, I don't know.
Someone without a soul who's never, you know.
It's too smooth. It's literally like the Imagine Dragons of visual art. Like
it is for smooth-brained people.
People
that like smooth. Yeah.
And so that's why I still
Marvel did one. Did you see that like that
AI intro? Yeah, that was a whole thing.
And it was like what you're saying. There's just like no soul. Like
it looks bad,
and it made Samuel L. Jackson look like he had some sort of genetic disorder.
Probably, but that situation also got me into the shortest beef ever with some stupid ass artist on Twitter. Thing? Yeah, because some career artist, like industry artist, she retweeted that and had a whole fucking spiel about like, I just want to say, if you're an artist that's just starting out and you want to make a career of it, you need to just give up. Like, just keep it a hobby. This is the future. Like, basically, woe is me. But also, if you're thinking about an artist, being an artist full time, you should just give up because it's so jober for us. And I just responded to that and I was like, you need to shut the fuck up, basically, or something like that. And
what a fucking pussy ass statement. Don't you have any like John Henry was a steel driving man? I will beat these machines with
literally.
My hands.
It's like and I just hate that fucking sentiment, which art Twitter loves this. It's the most popular thing you could put. If you want to go viral on art Twitter, all you have to do is roll around in the mud and cry and say, everybody get in the mud with me. It's so over. None of us are going to make money. We're going to be broke forever. And it's not our fault. It's not because we're a bunch of fucking spineless pussies. It's because of AI art and because of fucking capitalism and all this stuff. And I hate seeing that stupid shit because I'm like, you don't deserve to be an artist. Like, you don't deserve to make money as an artist. And it's especially annoying because this chick that posted it had in her bio that was like, she didn't work on these shows. I'm just like, it was just like, I worked on Gravity Falls and Kung Fu Panda and this and that. And I'm like, bitch, you made it. You can't say that you made it into the industry and look back on everybody else that's trying and just be like,
no.
Don't promote the thing that's killing you. Don't promote the thing that's killing you. Just where is your self-preservation instinct?
Literally.
Your basic self-preservation
Where is your fucking dignity? And just to tell other artists to give up, is there anything more evil and sinister than that? Like, I was literally like, did someone pay you to write this? Like, who are you working for?
Did the big AI people pay you?
Yeah, what is the fucking point of this?
Crap journey? Low journey?
It was so stupid. Anyway, but that is sort of encapsulates my take on AI, which is that even though I am like doomer about it in a sense that like I think it's really ugly, and I think a lot of corporate entities are going to start turning to AI because it's cheaper and faster. I don't think that means that it's over for artists. I just think that like you need to be able to carve out. It's over for a certain
Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. There will be a bifurcated market. Did you ever see the movie Her?
It did, yeah.
Her is about, Joaquin Phoenix falling in love with AI, Scarlett Johansson.
The computer, Scarlett Johansson.
His job in that.
Yes.
That's Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, his job in that is
Johansson. Continue. Sorry, I suck.
But yeah, his job in that movie is he makes beautiful handwritten letters, and I thought this was such a good call about. I think that movie takes place, right around now, actually, which is sort of funny about it. He predicted everyone would have very high waisted trousers, but there will be a market where there is a premium price on things that are authentic or hand drawn or handwritten. And it will become a lot more competitive because because it will become more expensive. Only a certain amount of people will be able to afford it. A certain type of person will be able to afford it. So it will become a lot more patronage based for those people that have that inkling. For the people that just consume art not for the sake of its communicative ability, but rather just to watch something, to have something take up space in between the time that they die, which is how a lot of people consume art. They'll be fine with the AI, and that's what's going to happen to them. But we can't focus on those people. We have to focus on the people who will always be out there that like the idea of art as something that is communicative of a unique human intent, and you can't get rid of those people. There's not enough technology you can create to kill those people. That will always be enough of the population to have some sort of art economy, some sort of authentic art economy going. And that's to me what's going to happen.
And if you decide to just roll over and just be like, well, AI art is going to replace me, so I might as well just become a plumber or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with being a plumber. You make a lot of good money. It'd be great. We need plumbers. We need them. They're crucial. We need plumbers more than we need artists, honestly. But but like it's just like if you have to have a little bit of like dignity, and you have to understand that if you're creating unique work, you're not replaceable. You're only replaceable if your work is replaceable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that nobody's gonna start messaging the three of us and be like, Haus, I was a huge fan of you, but your output is just not fast enough. So I programmed a computer to make House of Decline comics, and they don't really make sense, but they just scratch that itch. So I'm no longer a fan. I will be unsubbing from your Patreon. It just won't happen. It just won't happen.
Someone might do that for me if I don't post soon.
It just isn't going to happen. It's just because because the people who enjoy like AI art or think that it's passable were never going to be invested in a real human's art to begin with. It just was never going to happen.
What you just said, no, you go on, Zach. Yeah.
Okay, I've contributed nothing to the episode, so here's my big brain question for both of you.
Okay.
Say AI art continues, right? Is this going to cause, and kind of like what you were saying earlier, Haus, well, I guess it was about her, but in the future, like sentimental hand-done things will be more powerful. Like, do you think this AI art boom is going to cause a resurgence in painting in terms of the art world?
I don't know. In that it'll be easy to generate images, and people will use that they'll copy those images. What's your logic?
Is like the logic of like, okay, so I do really cool digital art, but now a machine can replicate it. I'm going to start doing hand-done paintings, not digital.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like unless we start doing AI 3D painting printing, that could be soon. That could be soon. But
I mean,
I feel like you can't replicate like the Mona Lisa like in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, physical objects hold a more premium because they precisely are physical.
And I think they already do, because that's proof of like how NFTs, everyone was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I think physical will always probably be more, but
it'll always be preferable. And I think, I don't know if painting specifically will become more popular, but I do think that a lot of industry artists right now are going to be left kind of with their hands in their pockets and be looking around at each other and at themselves and at their careers and be like, well, I fine-tuned my art and my work to fit an industry standard so that I could get a job. I've spent years and years fine-tuning my work so that it looks like just like everybody else in the industry, so that I could get a job at Pixar or whatever. You know what I mean? And look what it got me. It got me a thumb up my ass. So now, where am I going to turn? There's going to be a lot of people that are like art Twitter and are just bitching and moaning for the rest of eternity until they die. But I think what I agree with your point, Zach, but I don't specifically think it's going to be painting. I just think that there in a perfect world, and this will happen, but it will only be a certain like breed of artist, but it will be like people will stop doing industry friendly work and start focusing on what makes them unique. I think the good artists will do that, or the people who are passionate about it.
I want to push back on the art Twitter whining about capitalism.
Okay, go ahead.
Because sometimes capitalism sucks.
It does,
there was a time previously where, if you ever read the biographies of like mad artists from the 20s or something like that, these were guys that came out of like dirt poor situations, but went to these government subsidized art industrial schools, right? And they had like real opportunity. You had more opportunity starting out as a poor artist than I think you have nowadays, where for someone like me, the only reason why I was able to be as prolific as I was because I had years of unemployment money and savings and family money built up, which just gave me the financial runway I needed to focus exclusively on my stuff. So if you are someone now who just does not have access to the same entitlements that people had even 30, 40 years ago, before all public entitlements were heshed out by fucking Reagan and shit, it was before that, but yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, I think you have a right to complain about capitalism. Also, in that is my answer to, will people start painting more? And I think maybe no, because the thing about painting is it's really, really expensive.
It is expensive.
It's a huge opportunity cost. And
acrylic's not as bad as oil.
No, but having a whole set of fucking paints and you run out of it so fucking quickly.
Yeah,
canvas is expensive by itself.
I gotta push back. You push back against Terrace. I have to push back against you.
Push it back, baby.
F capitalism. I was blessed. I had a little money runway to jump on, fly off of. I moved to. The flea bags are going nuts over there. I'm sorry. I moved to like the most expensive state in the world. I don't know if in the world, but LA, right?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on over there?
The state of Los Angeles.
Sorry.
The wonderful state of LA.
I want him to finish his story, but I have also a brief pushback, which is that I do slightly disagree that there was more opportunity back in the day. I think there's more opportunity now to have your art be seen by the world because of social media. Capitalism still sucks, but anyway, sorry, Zach.
I'm talking about just as the opportunity to be a working artist, like to get a job. Like there was a better path to just being an employed illustrator back in the day. Whereas now you have to be independent. You have to do like the social media stuff that we're doing, right? You have to be a brand unto yourself, which I like because I enjoy doing that. But Zach, push back.
Well, that was kind of my point because I moved somewhere expensive. I didn't have a financial runway. I had to work at Baskin Robbins. I was working at Chipotle. I was working at a drink place, and I paid. I barely scraped by. I paid my rent, and I posted on Twitter. And I'm now making money. I'm doing things with my good buddy Harris. I think don't make me use this phrase, but a little bit of bootstrapping, it does a boy good. It does a boy good. Okay, I get it though. I get it. It's tough. It is.
Is it great? Is it great for your long-term mental health? Probably not. But I do think that having a little bit of that fire under your ass, like, all right, if I'm not producing shit, I'm not making money. You know what I mean? So I gotta be doing it. It's exhausting, but I would have made a lot less shit if I didn't have that fire under my ass. You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm also going to push back to the pushback. If you
keep going, now we're just having a conversation, bro.
Let's go.
It's like a Vosh. It's like a fucking Vosh episode now. We're debating. But I would say we've all been. I think we're all have that reason why we got some sort of following is that mixture of skill and luck that you all need. But I think all of our formats are it was your ass. You were always posting your sweet ass.
Yeah. Thickums.
Really good. But yeah, we all have like formats that are very well suited to getting attention on social media, which is something that you can read and understand in 3 seconds, right?
True.
And I think that's why if you make art that is vastly more complicated or abstract or is sort of like weird or great in some way, but it just doesn't get noticed because it's like too challenging. And there's tons of people like this, the most brilliant artists you've ever met who make this harrowing stuff, but because they just have no business instincts, or they're self-destructive, they have some sort of problem, or their art is just nobody gets it because it's too specific, it's too ahead of its time, they end up not getting noticed. And my heart goes out to people like that. I don't know what percentage of that type of person is art Twitter, but I can definitely, we can all sympathize with that's why everybody loves fucking Van Gogh, because Van Gogh.
I was like, who's Van Gogh, dude?
Van Gogh. But that's the story of Van Gogh, somebody who was criminally underappreciated in their lifetime, and only through the intervention.
Was he criminally unappreciated?
Yeah, I think
he's great, man.
I'll tell you this right now. His art was good. His art was fine.
Yeah.
I knew guys in college who probably, if it was 500 years ago, would cut off their ear, and I'll tell you, they're not cool guys. They're not cool guys. I don't think he was underappreciated. He was probably just a bit off-putting.
I think that just plays to his insanity.
He needed to do Dane Cook style. He should have done that.
Yes.
If Van Gogh knew who Dane Cook was, he would have remodeled his whole thing, and he would have died rich instead of.
He would have cut his other ear off for Dane Cook. So
the only person, he did Dane Cook style engagement with was his brother Theo, of course, and their letters are beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Theo.
Nice.
Theo was. Have you never read about the letters between Theo and Vincent Van Gogh? They're harrowing and beautiful. Theo Van Gogh. Theo Gogh is kind of funny. Yeah, he had a brother. He had a successful brother who kept him afloat.
What is Van?
I hate how you and Harris can
real name?
This reminds me of this historical thing, and I'm like,
Vincent Van Gogh.
What are they talking about? Was his brother a painter?
No, his brother. I forget
about
his.
No, he had money. I think I knew a lot of this actually because of I watched the Willem Dafoe movie where he plays Van Gogh. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, Loving Vincent.
Loving Vincent. Is that it?
No, that's not. That's the animated.
No, it's at Heaven's Gate.
That's the one. That's the
one. Van Gogh. What is that called?
Dude, I
it's the one where the meme comes
Gate,
from.
The
meme where
I thought that was from Doctor Who.
No, that's another weepy Van Gogh episode.
That goes viral every month, and it's like Van Gogh walking into a museum, seeing everyone appreciating his paintings, and he's like,
I'm sure. I'll be honest, that shit kind of does fuck me up.
I want to call it Reddit, but I am quick to tear up.
It is Reddit, but it's only Reddit because it's been reposted to hell. But the first time that I saw it, I was like, maybe I should watch Doctor Who. Never have, but I'm sure it's a good show.
This chick with huge breasts came to visit me one time and was like, I love Doctor Who, we should watch it. And I was like, yeah, cool. And we were watching it, the worst shit I have seen in my entire life. And she's like, isn't this good? And I'm like, yes.
It's one of those shows that's like, I
love it so much.
It's such a
nerd
show.
Oh, yeah, I love Doctor Who. I think it's great.
Everybody that talks about Doctor Who is the biggest nerd I've ever known.
No, I know how bad it is. I know. Don't worry. I know. Okay.
But I know. We got to that
there's
episode.
A lot of seasons,
it's like,
right? With there's different doctors. Isn't that the whole thing?
He regenerates over time because that is a factor.
Those
of,
creatures that
where
are
is he from again? Gallifreyan physiognomy.
Oh,
disgusting. There's these creatures that like are wearing human suits, but then like.
You're talking about the Slitheen, who you probably watched the first season episode. They're farting aliens.
It makes them fart because their atmospheric pressure needs to recalibrate.
That's a famously bad episode. It's so bad episode. But it leads to a really good episode. There's a really good episode that follows up on that.
I refuse to believe that. I simply refuse to believe there's a really good episode that follows up.
Yeah,
what is it about large breasts that would make a man admit that he likes that makes a man lie about liking Doctor Who? It is sick. Women have this power over us.
I know.
It is sick.
It's true.
It is sick.
It's true. It is sick.
It's Big Don, Donald Trump. Just wanted to tell you that this is the first half of the episode. The boys and Lyle have so much more to talk about. Maybe rats, maybe something else. Join the Patreon to see the last half, more bonus episodes, and early access to Beetle Moses and YOLO Swag Studios comics. I approve this message.
RRR. 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 All right. If you want to see the rest of the episode, You're gonna have to join the Patreon, and we'd like to thank the executive patrons. Okay, I'm pulling up that list.
We got Bugs on My Wee Wee, Big Tasty, Rap Pew Pew, Conga Heli, Brancho, Gzan, Gwyn, Kellen McSmellin, Protista, Protagon, Shrek the Third, Trash Bins, and T Stilly. You guys fucking rock, man.
Based.
Rock.
R.